As we mentioned, this week we're doing things a little bit different, and now joining me, associate head coach Tony Kemper. And before the break, assistant coach Chronica Randall and I were talking about how this team was starting to adapt to different environments by heading on the road. And, well, that wasn't put more to the challenge than it was this past weekend when we went to McNeese State. All kinds of trouble, and that's even before we get to Burton Coliseum with the Cowgirls standing in the way.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and that's the way it goes sometimes. You just keep playing, I guess, and we kind of did that from the jump. You know, it took us a while to get out of the parking lot, struggled to do that, and then once we did, to be honest, it went pretty well from there. But you know, weren't able to practice down there, so we didn't take a shot in the gym until, you know, an hour and a half before the game, which you know, is tough. At the same time, I mean, I don't know how many road games we've played now this year, but we've been there a little bit. Second verse, same as the first a little bit. It definitely didn't go how we wanted it to go, but we've got a mature, old team that's been around for a while, and it definitely wasn't their first trip to Burton Coliseum, and you know, they were obviously comfortable in the environment, and you know, played like it.
And we've talked to Coach Daniel before about that. This group being so mature, they can handle a situation like this. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, this may have thrown them for a loop and no telling what would have happened. But this group's able to just kind of take it in and relax, and they know what the job is that they had to do on Saturday afternoon. They're able to kind of focus on it, whether you were able to focus on it practice-wise or not.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I think even over the course of this year, you know, we've seen our girls really mature, and you know, obviously we've gotten really good at, we just play for 40 minutes. And the highs and the lows, I guess we try to equal them out, definitely in our mentality. You know, sometimes there's been some stretches where we've played really, really good, or, you know, not so good, but I don't think our mentality has wavered a lot, you know, and certainly the travel down there, our mentality didn't change. We had something that we were trying to get done, and it didn't matter, you know, what happened as far as the bus or you know, what have you. The task was still the task.
Obviously, every coach will say every game's a big game, but we all know that in the big scheme of things, especially playing for a championship, some do mean more than others, and that was obviously the case against McNeese State on Saturday afternoon. A win against McNeese State, and you basically almost wrapped up the East, or at least you've put yourself in a position that you want to be in.
Well, I don't know that any coach would ever say you've almost wrapped up a division, but you know, I think starting last week with Texas State, that was a large game, and you know, when we took care of that, it definitely built up what the McNeese game could be for us. And you know, I think the girls, obviously with McNeese winning the league last year and beating us, and you know, I think there's obviously a little rivalry there that you know, we don't have to coach that very much. We can just focus on what we're trying to do, X and O wise, and you know, the team does a good job of getting each other ready to play that game.
And you speak of the rivalry, and we've talked about this before with Coach as well. This is a respect rivalry. It's not a nasty rivalry. It's not a hate rivalry. It's both teams know how good each other are, and it's a healthy rivalry as far as that aspect, that you're going to get quality basketball when these two teams play.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We have a tremendous amount of respect for McNeese, and I think our fans that saw them when we played up here, I mean, it's two tough teams and tough players out there, and you know, they're well coached. They execute really well. They're hard to beat, you know, and last year they beat us just a little bit better than we beat them, and you know, right now this year we've done a pretty good job.
You had the scout on that game, and obviously these two teams know basically each other inside and out. There's no doubt about it. Coach Daniel talked about in the pregame interview that y'all had some wrinkles y'all had planned on putting in, but obviously that got scrapped. But as it turns out, you just went out and played how y'all have been playing anyway, and it was good enough after 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we have started to zone more, and we zoned McNeese the whole game, and you know, I think when you're playing them, obviously everybody knows about the Twins, that they have tremendous supporting cast players, but the bottom line is you've got to try to get the ball out of the Twins' hands as much as you can, and you've got to make somebody else beat you. And you know, the start of the game, they were doing a really good job of that. And you know, it is a 40-minute game, and we just kind of kept playing. And you know, pretty soon you look up and you've tied it, and then pretty soon you've looked up and you've eked ahead a little bit, and that's kind of what we did.
You mentioned they were doing a pretty good job, or you could also say that we're doing a good job following the Sugar Bear script for this season so far. getting behind by 13, nobody hits the panic button. I mean, you could almost say we had them right where we want them. You don't, but you know, it kind of feels that way, and sometimes, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, they got off to a great start. I mean, they just did. The bottom line was, I guess you could say we didn't play very well. I'm not sure that it wasn't. They were just playing really, really well, and you know, obviously they kind of made every shot to start the game out of the gate, and you look up there and it's 18-5. And, you know, I think if you saw our body language, and I don't think, obviously there was never any panic, and it was, we made a couple adjustments, switched defenses, and, you know, after that kind of just smoothed the waters a little bit and went and played.
You mentioned that they got off to that 18-5 start. You switched some defenses. You were down 13, held them without a field goal the final 6 minutes of the first half, only trailed 28-26 at the break. And then this has been a second-half team all along, and we saw it out of the gate again. Here come the Sugar Bears.
Yeah, we did, and I think it was key defensively. I mean, we were pretty efficient offensively, but I think they scored 25 points in the last 26 minutes. And anytime you can do that, especially on the road, you know, I think that's obviously the key to the game.
Your three-point shot started going in the second half, as we're going to see several of them that really keyed the comeback. A couple shots into paint as well. You got out-rebounded heavily for the game, but a lot of that distance came in the first few minutes when McNeese was playing well. We got a lot of key rebounds down the stretch that helped not only get the lead, but keep it once we had it.
Yeah, that's right. We kind of got, you know, we got blitzed early on the glass, and after, I don't exactly know the numbers, I don't have them memorized, but I remember looking up in the first half early on in the game and being, you know, down 10 rebounds or having a 10-rebound margin. So at some point it kind of evened out. And, you know, that once I saw the deficit, it doesn't surprise me that we weren't able to really close that gap. They're a tremendous rebounding team and very athletic. And, you know, us playing zone, it's harder to rebound in a zone. It's not impossible, but it's harder. And, you know, I think the numbers kind of bear that out a little bit.
One of the last highlights we saw was Megan Herbert from the top of the lane hitting a three-pointer. She went 4-4 from behind the arc, and when the three-point shot started to fall, that was kind of the end of McNeese. 26 points for Megan, 11 rebounds, 2 double-doubles last week, 60 for her career. Is that those three-pointers, the Sonic Play of the Week? It just, I don't know, it's kind of like right now, speechless. How do you keep continuing to heap praises on her? She picked up her third straight Conference Player of the Week, another National Player of the Week for the mid-majors. It's just, you know, when does it stop? When does it end? Hopefully not for a long, long time, but you can't.
Well, you know, I think a lot of that credit just goes to her. And I talked about our team. We just play for 40 minutes, and Megan plays for 40 minutes every time she plays. And she's just a competitor. She's a tremendous competitor. And, you know, I think the basket gets really big when it needs to, you know, and she can make you look awfully smart. And, you know, I think, and Desiree Rogers hits a big three too. And so Meg hits 2, Ray hits 1, and, you know, those are 4s and 5s. And when you can extend their defense with your bigs like that, you just become that much harder to guard.
You bring up Desiree. I think she averaged 10 points, 8 rebounds last week. And I know Saturday was a special game for her, and she may have been the one with more ink than Megan Herbert going into a game for once, and it was on the road. But you could see her after the game, too. It's like a weight had been lifted. She played well, and she was the only other Sugar Bear double figures, and this team came out with a very convincing 64-53 win. You've won 9 in a row now, the longest winning streak since we moved up. Your third straight 20-win season, and more importantly, you're 10-1 in conference play.
Yeah, well, we're doing a good job of just playing one game at a time, and that game was obviously a big game for a lot of different reasons. Going on the road, being number one, anytime you can win on the road is great. We are on quite a streak, 9 in a row. You know, I guess in a way it is what it is. We just got to go back to work, and we've got the week off this week, and just another huge game on Saturday. And I think when you're putting together the season we're putting together, it kind of just it's a snowball rolling down the hill. The game that you're on becomes the biggest game of the year. And that's a credit to how we're playing. They've created more, excitement for each game for themselves, and it's definitely fun to watch them.
We're going to take our final break here on the show. When we come back, we'll hand out the weekly awards and take a look ahead to our one game this week at home next Saturday afternoon. We'll do that right after this. Back here in our final segment of the Central Arkansas Sugar Bear Basketball Report with Associate Head Coach Tony Kemper and the AT&T Player of the Week. Megan Herbert got it for the Southland Conference, but here today we're going to give it to senior point guard Destiny Rogers, who had a one-off her career high. She had 27 points against Texas State, making all 6 3-pointers that the Sugar Bears made in the game, and then running the point guard to perfection again Saturday afternoon at McNeese State. 40 minutes, no turnovers, 4 assists. She sets the table. We've talked about it many times again, but she's just so consistent at the point guard position, exactly what you want.
She's really, really solid. She gets us in what we need to get in. I think the leadership that she's provided this year has just gotten better, and it's getting stronger, and you can kind of watch that, and she's definitely deserving of that award with the week that she had. And it's fun when you talk about Players of the Week and talk about the week Meg had, and then Des has it as well. We've got a lot of weapons, and a lot of people that are deserving of praise and accolades. So.
And we're going to keep it on Destiny Rogers here for the Log Cabin Stat of the Week. She's played 2 games this year against McNeese State, obviously started both of them, played 90 minutes, and only turned it over 1 time, and that's the definition of a point guard right there. Get the ball in the right hands and don't give it away. Yeah,
that's a tremendous stat, kind of unbelievable. I don't know how many assists she has in that, but I'm sure it's a high assist to turnover ratio. So, that's part of the formula for beating a team like McNeese is you got to have people that are making good decisions, and she obviously has been.
And now you finally reach your bye Wednesday, which we've been talking about all along. It'd be a good thing to get, but now that you're rolling and won 9 in a row, sometimes maybe you can just get on to the next game, but at least you do get some time to get these girls a break and then focus in for what may be the biggest game of the year here Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, you can go back and forth on whether or not it's good or not good, but it's good for the girls to get back and get in the books a little bit. And the conference season is hard in that respect. You're on the road a lot more, kind of get their bearings. And I think we're mentally fresh. This gives us a chance to get physically fresh. So I think comes at a good time, and we obviously need a good stretch run.
And it starts Saturday afternoon against the Bearcats at Sam Houston State. They lead the Western Division, and it is, again, the top of the Southland Conference, us and them. This is a big, big matchup at 2 o'clock at the Fair Center.
It is. I mean, they're one of the teams that have a chance to catch us, and we don't want to get caught. So big game, and they've got a couple really good players, and we really struggled down there last year. So we've got to make some adjustments like we've been talking about, and go out there and play well.
Well, 2 o'clock Saturday at the Fair Center. It's the annual Pink Zone game, so hope you'll come out and support the cause and support the Sugar Bear cause as well, as they're trying to roll to a Southland Conference championship. As we wrap things up, thanks to Associate Head Coach Tony Kemper for joining us, and also Assistant Coach Veronica Randall. And thanks for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week here on the Central Arkansas Sugar Bear Basketball Report.
The Matt Daniel Collins Show is on the Bear 91.3 KUCA at 7:30 on Mondays at Beef O'Brady's in Conway. Come by for a chance to meet your favorite Sugar Bears and enjoy the weekly show specials and giveaways.